In the build-up to the 2024 AFL draft, it's great to reflect back on history and look at the draft periods your AFL club nailed. In this video, we have a premiership winning core, 5 200-game players, and a haul that ended with 2 Brownlow medalists. We have to start with the single greatest draft a club has ever had: longevity, peak performance, goal kickers, and game winners. All critical aspects of building a powerful team, and all were ticked off in the 2001 draft for Geelong. How about starting with Jimmy Bartel at pick 8? He won the Brownlow medal in 2007 during a breakout season playing primarily on ball, but spent parts of his career at either end of the ground as well. 11 straight years, he averaged at least 21 touches per game, and he was so consistent. His finals performances matched his home and away season output. The 2011 Norm Smith medal, the clear highlight. He won it with a 26 disposal and 3 goal masterclass against Collingwood. 302 games for 202 goals for the 3-time premiership star. Some of you may have forgotten him due to Geelong's big names in the late 2000s and early 2010s, but at pick 17 was James Kelly. He played 273 games for Geelong before finishing his career at Essendon. Like Bartel, he was a model of consistent production. He never averaged more than 25.3 disposals in a year, but only averaged less than 18 3 times over his 16 seasons in the AFL. He was an All-Australian in 2011, and his running ability both ways balanced out the natural offensive flair of the others around him. 7 selections later was Steve Johnson. Early on, he was a sporadic player with talent, but in 2007, like with most of the Geelong players, it all finally clicked. 19 disposals and 2.5 goals per game landed him a maiden All-Australian from nowhere, and everything culminated on Grand Final day. In Geelong's record Grand Final winning margin, Johnson kicked 4 goals and dominated Port Adelaide early in the game. Like the 2 players mentioned before him, he would be a part of 3 premierships and get the nod in 3 All-Australian teams. At Geelong, he played 253 games and kicked 452 goals. So how can a draft class get any better than this? Well, with Geelong's 5th pick in the draft and 40th overall, they were able to get Gary Ablett Jr.
Gary Ablett Jr. They don't expect him to play senior football next year, maybe just a couple of games towards the end, but they are hopeful in the long term. They're hoping probably 4 out of those 8 picked today go on and play senior football next year, so have an immediate impact. And of course,
how much pressure is on Gary Ablett Jr.? An
enormous amount of pressure, but he's going to be working at the club. Gary's going to be around, Gary Senior's going to be around. They're pretty confident that he can handle all the pressure, and from a Geelong supporters' point of view, all those Geelong supporters out there, I'll just be hoping he's half as good as his old man.
He definitely ended up at least half as good as his dad, and some might say he was even better. Solely focusing on his time at Geelong, Ablett Jr. was a steal. His 4 peak years at the Cats between 2007 and 2010 were all-time great. He polled over 20 Brownlow votes each year, won the medal in 2009, and won 3 straight AFL PA MVPs and AFL Coaches Association awards from 2007 to 2009. He was by far the best player on the best team that made 3 consecutive grand finals, winning 2 of them. Individually, he would continue to star at Gold Coast from 2011, but his relatively short time at his greatest while at Geelong was special. The 2001 draft as a whole is considered one of the best groups ever, and there is no doubt that Geelong got the best of it, picking up 4 stars that led to lots of winning. The 1999 draft and trade period saw the Western Bulldogs land 5 200-game players. Before the national draft, they were able to secure a trade for utility Nathan Eagleton from Port Adelaide. For pick 28 and Brett Montgomery, the Bulldogs got the 20-year-old who would go on to play 221 games for the club and 277 overall. From their 7 selections in the national draft, The Bulldogs nailed 4 200-game players, which is the equal most the club has got from a single draft hand. Now, no premiership players are in the group, but it's still a remarkable feat to draft at such a high rate. The first of the 4 was pick 13 in Robert Murphy. The wiry half-forward and half-back played the third most games from the 99 draft, reaching 312 over 18 consistent seasons. He was the hard luck story of 2016, but represented the club as captain so well during his time on the sidelines and helped revamp the team when he took over as captain in 2015. On field, he was a dual All-Australian and kicked 183 goals. He could fill most roles on the field and was an influential leader off it. Pick 32 was for Daniel Giantsaracusa. He was never an All-Australian or Best and Fairest winner, but his numbers will surprise you. 265 games for a return of 331 goals is a great career. 7 straight seasons from 2005 to 2011, he averaged at least 18 disposals and 1 goal per game, and led the Bulldogs goal kicking in 2012 and 2013. He is now a senior assistant at Essendon, and his name has been floated for a senior coaching role in the future. The final pair of 200 gamers were defenders Lindsay Gilbey and Ryan Hargrave. Gilbey would play 206 games across just 12 AFL seasons, spending his first 2 years at the club in the reserves. He was an important rebound defender under Rodney Eade, as the club made 3 straight preliminary finals between 2008 and 2010. He played 24, 24 and 25 games in each of those 3 years, averaging 21 disposals. Reliable and dependable best describes Gilbey's time at the Dogs. Hargrave played 203 games and spent most of his career alongside Gilbey. He played all his games from 2002 to 2012 and played at least 20 games every year from 2005 to 2010 before retiring due to foot and ankle injuries. His best year was in 2009 when he averaged 24 disposals and 7 marks per game in a side that went 15-8 in the home and away season. Part of a Richmond dynasty was built all the way back in 2009. All of the players they selected in that draft are now retired, with 2 of them finishing up last season. In a top 10 that wasn't great overall, the Tigers picked the diamond in the rough. Melbourne, who had picked 1 and 2, missed a double chance to land legend Dustin Martin. It was revealed this year Sydney were the other club heavily interested in Dusty and actually offered Richmond pick 6 and 14 to move up to pick 3. What a great trade rejection. Martin's peak was as good as we have ever seen. His 2017 has to be in the top 5 or so individual seasons ever played, and his 3 Norm Smiths put him above all else. But an underrated part is Martin's longevity. He played 302 games across 15 seasons and kicked 338 goals. We all know Martin's career, but 2 defenders were also acquired. At pick 35 was David Asprey. Up until 2016, he was a battler. 17 games in 2010, his first year was a great sign, but from 2011 to 2015, he played a combined 24. Injury was the main reason for this, and over this period of time, he hurt his MCL, his foot, had a patella dislocation, and did his hamstring. The patience with him would pay off. He was never a star, but ultra durable and reliable in the back half of his career. He played in all 3 premierships and featured 114 times from 2016 to 2021. He was joined in all those premierships by Dylan Grimes. He was picked 2 in the 2009 pre-season draft. It took until 2014, his 5th year, to play double-figure games, and up until 2018, he was a good defender. He became great when Alex Rance retired. Grimes took up the responsibility of leading the back line, and the accolades came with with his outstanding performances. A 2021 Best and Fairest, an All-Australian Blazer, and 2 further squad selections, and the honour of co-captaining Richmond in 2022 and 2023.